Hello, my name is Bill Carrigan. I'm a professor of history at Rowan University, and this is one of the several videos that I have made for one of the courses that I'm teaching on U.S. history. These videos usually are me reflecting about a particular period of time in history based on one of the primary source documents that I've assigned to the class. And the document I want to be talking about today is actually a transcript of a phone call between U.S. President George H.W. Bush and the German Chancellor Helmut Kohl. And it's about it was the day after negotiations had concluded to reunite East and West Germany. And so I'm going to be talking about the end of the Cold War. Today's video is a little bit different because even though I was alive for some of the other events that I've talked about in these videos, this is the first event I was really like a young adult when it happened. And so my comments are going to be a mixture of historical and personal. I was born in 1970, and the Cold War had always been a part of my life up through the time of the phone call, all the way up until maybe like 1989. I never had any idea that the Cold War would end in any other way than World War III. This is hard for other people that I meet today, young people today, to kind of understand. They kind of sometimes will talk about, well, of course you knew the Cold War was ending, they'll act that way. Well, as somebody who lived through it, I don't think me or my friends had any idea that there would be anything other than, at some point, a third world war between the Soviet Union and their allies and the United States and our allies. We watched the movie Red Dawn, which was about a Soviet invasion. I played a board game called Fortress America, which was about a Soviet communist invasion of the United States. My friends and I, in our time together, we would be discussing our plans about what happened when the Soviets invaded. We had a cave picked out that we would go to. We had a list of items we would grab, our plans for resisting and all this kind of stuff. It sounds crazy today, but we were dead serious about it. It was this was something that we took as just kind of part of the world that we lived in. So this is one of the hardest things that I have to convey for those people who did not live through the Cold War, that it was the end of it was completely unexpected, in my opinion. With the benefit, of course, of research, a decade of experience, it's now easy to perceive the Soviet economy was weak, and this can kind of be seen as coming. And of course, that's the way history works. You want to understand, why did these things happen? Why did World War II begin? Why did the North win the Civil War? Historians spend time looking back, trying to figure out why things happened. But that's different than being able to predict what's going to happen while you're living through it. And this is one of those moments that certainly made that point for me. So I guess what I wanted to say about, to kind of, I guess, explain a little bit why we didn't see it coming, is because the communication and all this kind of stuff was very different then. We didn't have great knowledge of exactly what was happening inside the Soviet Union. What we knew is kind of what was on the news. We knew that the Soviets had great technology, especially military technology. We knew they had a massive number of atomic weapons that could destroy the world multiple times over. They had actually been very successful in the space race and still had quite a bit of significant accomplishments there. So we just didn't have any idea that the Soviet economy was in any kind of crisis. We might have had some political leaders who might have said this, and we would have just said, well, it's just politics, and we just didn't believe it. So anyway, I don't think that everyone in the West or the United States even had dreams about living in a cave and fighting the Soviet Union, but I really do think that there wasn't anyone in the world who really had confidence there was going to be an imminent fall of the Soviet Union, up through, 1987, 1988. In that school year, the 1987-1988 academic school year, my high school participated in an exchange program with West Germany. My high school hosted a bunch of students that came over, and we hosted one in our house. And then I returned, and in the summer I went over to West Germany and lived there for a period of time. And in the countless conversations that my friend Lutz, the exchange student I stayed with, and we had about everything, we never kind of imagined that within roughly 2 years his country would be reunited. There must have been some people who were hoping for that to happen, but none of the people that I talked to kind of could imagine there would not be a West Germany in 2 years. It was beyond even the kind of dreams of young people at that point, as far as I could tell. I think you can get some sense of the surprise and wonder of that even in this phone call. And the phone call, of course, comes after it actually has already happened. And so yet you still can see a little bit and feel a little bit of that wonder, that happiness in this phone call, which is one of the reasons I assigned it. I would just say I visited Berlin with Lutz. I was in northern Germany, but we visited Berlin. I saw the wall. I never thought the wall would ever come down. One of the things that Lutz and I shared was a love of music. We particularly liked this band Pink Floyd, some of you have heard of, and we were fans of their album The Wall. Roger Waters, who had been kind of the vision behind that album and one of the main lead singers of Pink Floyd, had left the band, and he had said he would never rejoin Pink Floyd except when the wall came down. And we both took that as that's it. They'll never get back together because the wall's never coming down. I remember watching on television the live performance of The Wall in front of the wall after it had started to come down. It's a moment I'll never forget, and it kind of brought home to me this kind of revolution in the way that I saw the world. In those years between 1989 and 1991, I learned something about history itself, I think. I learned that sudden, rapid, unexpected changes can happen, and it made me take people in the past more seriously. They weren't fools for failing to anticipate the coming of this or that event, or for expecting an outcome that we now think in hindsight was impossible. They were, like me and my friends in the 1980s, normal people making sense of the world as best that they could at the time. That's a lesson that I think I'll never forget, and I hope that all of you will take it seriously too. Taking people in the past seriously is an important thing for historians. Tomorrow is uncertain. One's entire world can change in a very short period of time. I learned that. And what today is normal may be dust and memories within a very short period of time. My name is Bill Carrigan for Rowan University. Thank you very much.